3, 2, 1. Imagine you're returning home from work late one night. This particular route back home passes through some scarcely populated areas. Large trees line both sides of the road, making it almost impossible to drive in any other direction. There is a constant, deafening crunch of the gravel road beneath your tires. Not the type of place you'd expect a silhouette walking straight towards you from the dark. The 2016 clown sightings were a series of clown sightings occurring all over the world. With its roots in the new age of social media, here is how a questionably innocent beginning turned into a worldwide phenomena and resulted in a wild couple of months filled with assaults, robberies, and terror. For some, maybe a little bit of fun. Welcome to the Rainy Night Podcast. I'm your host, Arnold, and before we begin to talk about the 2016 clown sightings, I think it's important that I lay out the foundation first. Some predict that the first series of sightings began 3 years prior to 2016, in September and October of 2013. This initially began with the Northampton creepy clown sightings in Northampton, England. The clown in question resembled Pennywise the Dancing Clown from the novel/movie It. But these were quickly uncovered to be a publicity stunt, arranged by 3 local filmmakers who admitted to setting up the whole thing. Now, I'm just wondering, how many of you actually checked out the movie It back in 2017 when it first came out, and the one that actually came out this year as well, It Chapter 2, or Part 2, I'm not really sure what it's called. I actually checked out the first movie when it came out, and I actually checked out the second movie when it came out too. Like, I checked them both out in the cinemas. And I really enjoyed both of them. I think they're both amazing movies. And if you want to check them out, if you haven't yet, I would definitely recommend it because I love those movies. I would probably say they're one of the top 10 horror movies. At least one of my top 10 horror movies. Anyways. Some of you may also remember the series of clown pranks which began in March 2014 by the Italian YouTube channel DM Pranks. I personally enjoyed those videos a lot when they first came out and made sure to watch every single one, even their scary pranks which were not clown related. In October of the same year, 2014, with Halloween quickly approaching, there was another series of clown sightings in Wasco, California, with the clown being dubbed the Wasco Clown. There was as many as 20 sightings in a single week, with some claiming that the clowns were carrying weapons such as machetes and baseball bats. There was even an arrest made by the police, with the 14-year-old suspect claiming that he was just participating in a hoax which he had found online. The Wasco Clown quickly gained popularity through social media, and several new social media accounts quickly sprung, claiming to be the clown, taunting people to, in quotes, come out and play. Just a year later, in July of 2015, there was another clown sighting in Chicago, Illinois. The 2 witnesses claimed that the clown slowly climbed over the gate of a cemetery before turning to face the victims and slowly waving goodbye. The clown then proceeded to run into a dark and dense wooded area, never to be seen again. As creepy as this sounds, no arrests were made. The person wasn't uncovered. Nobody found out who he was. Nobody found out why he was there. And actually, a part of the interaction was actually recorded on camera. And although I wasn't actually able to find it, I think it may have been taken down, but it does sound certainly quite creepy. And if you're able to find it, please send it through, and I'll share it on social media. And this is a cheeky plug-in for my social media. If you're interested, Twitter and Instagram, The Rainy Podcast, or YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I am The Rainy Podcast, The Rainy Night Podcast, actually. Anyways, these sightings were very spaced out and did not really catch on to become a global trend. But the real events began in August 2016. 2016, where do I even start? From Donald Trump being elected to the series of eerie celebrity deaths that occurred, to the launch and explosion of Pokemon Go. Who remembers that? It is no question that 2016 was a big year for many of us. And actually, I've been told by family, actually not family, but I've been told by friends and people, I've actually read people talk about this online in comment sections and stuff like that, that a lot of people actually loved 2016. And honestly, if I'm being honest, I might even say that it was my favorite year. The vibes were very real, and I had just turned 18, and after getting my license, for the very first time in my life, I had the freedom to go anywhere and at any time. But it was also during August of 2016 that the clown sightings began once again. On August 1st, 2016, 5 pictures went viral on social media, depicting a creepy clown wandering around an empty car park in Green Bay, Wisconsin. This clown was quickly dubbed Gags the Clown, Gags, with a Facebook page being created shortly after, claiming to be the clown himself. In the following days, several news and media outlets began discussing and further popularizing the strange event. However, as we quickly discovered, this was yet another publicity stunt by a local filmmaker who was trying to promote his short horror film, Gags, which is, as you guessed it, about a clown. It soon became clear that the events were quickly spiraling out of control and taking an extremely dark turn for the worse. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Because that's exactly around the time when it all began to turn morbid. In late September 2016, the clown sightings graduated from being rare publicity stunts to growing numbers of people, particularly teenagers and young adults, dressing up as clowns and holding knives, baseball bats, axes, and even machetes in order to terrorize locals. There were numerous cases of people being stalked, chased, and grabbed by clowns. There was also reports of clowns trying to lure children into vans, and I found this the most creepiest. However, a lot of these were reduced to being false reports to create public hysteria. Whereas in Colorado, a school student claimed to be grabbed by a clown. Even in the Midwest and the southern states, there were numerous clown sightings. These were things such as clowns hiding in bushes, behind trees, holding weapons, staring blankly at victims. In other places, kids, parents, and schools alike began to panic as several reports surfaced of clowns trying to grab children or lure children into the woods. A New York school even went as far as declaring an all-out lockdown due to threats. There was also another case where 1,500 students from a high school refused to go to the school after threats began to surface online. Keep in mind, this is 1,500 students, which was half of the entire population of the school. The worst of these events actually followed in September. On the 19th of September, a 15-year-old boy was actually slashed by a man wielding a knife and wearing a clown mask in Tennessee, USA. In a separate case, on September 25th, a 16-year-old boy was fatally stabbed by a man wearing a clown mask in Pennsylvania. Although some accounts say that the boy who was fatally stabbed was himself previously involved in clown scares, these events highlighted the dangers which were becoming more and more real every day. I mean, come on, a 16-year-old boy? That's not cool. These events only continued to escalate throughout October in nearly every US state. This was due to the obvious lead up to Halloween. By this point, the phenomena had spread all across the globe. All across the globe, occurring more frequently in larger cities around the world. In October, the clown sightings became even more common, with fairly major sightings occurring once every couple of days. These reports were somewhat similar to those encountered before. People in creepy clown masks staring at passers-by, and the common reports of being chased, assaulted, and clowns attempting to kidnap children. Although a large number of events transpired around this time, surprisingly, it was reported that very few arrests were actually made by the police, even when more serious crimes such as assaults and kidnappings were concerned. A huge part of the growth and popularization of clown sightings was done through social media. As you may remember, or may not, there were several pages on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram that claimed to be created by the clowns and by the clown community. And these pages would often post threatening messages and dates that will be around this location around this time, and expect us, be prepared, it's a clown purge, things like that. But there was also another community that began to form online around the same period of time. As a response to the now popular clown sightings and threats, various communities began to spring around online. These groups were available for anybody to join and promoted clown hunting. In some cases, people began to arm themselves even while walking in public. And in more extreme cases, groups patrolled towns and cities in search of clowns to confront and even fight. Around this time, I was growing increasingly interested in finding and checking out these clowns personally. I heard about the occurrences that had taken place in Melbourne, such as the various viral clown posts and videos online. And I was actually guilty of following some of these clown pages and clown purge pages because I was simply just interested in them. I was determined to see it for myself. Of course, I wasn't going to go leave my car and confront them face to face. But me, being an adventurous horror lover with a brand new license, I decided to take my car out for a spin and drove around my suburb in hopes to find a clown. Or many clowns. Preferably, actually. The first few attempts were unsuccessful, but by this time, there were already a few clown pages on Facebook, and these pages would often post accurate locations of clowns in various places around Melbourne. And so, one day, excited by one of these posts, I found myself in a rush to check out the parking lot of a local shopping center. As I pulled into the parking lot, I saw the clown, and he was standing about 20 meters ahead of me. I did not dare to go any closer, as he was holding a baseball bat. I just did not want to risk it. But the clown sort of just stood there for a few minutes. And then when I realized that he wasn't actually going to do anything at all, he was just going to stand there and just look at people, I decided to just leave and just try my luck another day, I guess. But as I know now, that turned out to be my first and very last clown sighting, at least for 2016. Many of these clown pages began to grow concerning when they started posting threats about a supposed clown purge. This was going to occur on Halloween Eve of 2016, and there were numerous warnings issued against taking part in the purge by both police as well as locals and clown hunters alike, who actually threatened these clowns with violence. I know, like, in some cases, some of these clowns were getting threatened of being, like, murdered if there was no people around and stuff like that. So I think it was a bit of a two-way street. Like, the clowns are doing something like this, and there was also a backlash. However, as we now know, nothing ever really came of that. There was an incident in Florida where a family was attacked by a group of 20 clowns on October 31st of 2016, but no arrests were made and nothing ever really happened after that. The social media pages eventually went cold, with the exception of a few threats of the clowns returning around the same period of time in October in 2017. But as we know now, nothing ever really happened of that. No clowns came out. I mean, maybe some did, but it wasn't a major event like it was in 2016. The clowns disappeared just as quickly as they had appeared just 2 months before. And the events of the 2016 clown sightings were soon out of the public eye, forgotten. Now, do I think that we can expect something like this again in the future? Honestly, I personally think that we can definitely expect something like this again in the future. It is hard to believe that this was an isolated incident, especially when you consider that it was a top story for weeks and everybody was talking about it. I'm sure there's somebody out there who wants to monopolize on this again, and I think maybe if it's not clowns, I think we can expect some sort of a scare in any sort of shape or form sometime in the future, and probably around the time of Halloween or around the time where scary movies come out because of all the publicity and stuff like that. And honestly, I don't know what form or shape it will take in the future. I think that there's a part of every person that secretly craves fear. I think it's just a part of human nature. I mean, it explains why we love horror movies, going out of our comfort zone, climbing mountains, stuff like that. I think it's just a fundamental part of human nature to seek fear and seek the dangerous. So just solely because of that, I think that we can expect something like this in the future again. And honestly, I think it might even be clowns again. But it might be boring this time because we've already seen a clown sighting. Now, I know that there's a bunch of different creators out there on different platforms, such as Mr. Nightmare or BuzzFeed Unsolved, who do their own little thing. But I'm trying to find my own thing to create. And honestly, it might take it will take some time for me to get used to this and settle into my own content and vibe. I have very little experience with podcasts, although I have dabbled with YouTube videos and stuff like that. I used to make RuneScape videos back in the day, and I actually have a RuneScape, old school RuneScape stream as well on Twitch TV. It's called A Haunted Stream, and I was actually planning to talk about haunted stuff on that stream, during that stream as well. But I feel like a podcast is probably a better platform to put this kind of content out there. But yeah, so you can totally expect more content from me in the future. I'm honestly really looking forward into exploring new stories and topics which might have not been covered by other pages and creators, because I honestly want to find my own little thing to do. And so if there's anything you would like me to talk about or cover, please send them through to me at my various social media accounts. You can reach me anywhere on Twitter, Instagram, at Rainy Podcast. And if you want to find me on YouTube, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can find me under the Rainy Night Podcast, just as this podcast is named right now. So yeah, please give me a follow and subscribe, and let's see where this goes. I do plan on publishing my content on Apple Podcasts and Spotify very soon. So for those that are interested, stay tuned. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed my podcast, and this has been the Rainy Night Podcast. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll catch you next time. Have a relaxing night. Peace.